Hey guys, Kevin Bupp here, and I want to welcome you to another episode of the Real Estate Investing for Cash Flow podcast. Our mission is to help you build and maintain massive amounts of cash flow through income producing real estate investments. Our guest for this week's show is real estate expert and entrepreneur Sean Kriger. Now, Sean is the owner of Bold Estimation, one of the largest outsourced construction estimation companies in the U.S. with nearly 100 employees. Now, in addition to his estimation firm, Sean also specializes in building affordable housing out of shipping containers. His own personal residence is a 5,000 square foot home that utilizes 6 shipping containers as the basis of the design. Now, with this unique construction method, he's been able to build affordable housing communities out of shipping containers with costs as low as $75 a square foot all in. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome Sean to the show. How you doing, my friend?
Doing great, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited to have you here. Excited to talk about the world of shipping containers. Again, I love
Yeah,
having niche, little niche parts of the industry on the show, and shipping containers
sure.
definitely fits in that niche area. And so excited to learn how we can make money and create a cash flowing endeavor with shipping
Sure.
containers. So before we dive into it, Sean, maybe take a
Mhm.
few moments, tell us a little bit more about yourself, your background, and again how you found your way into this world.
Sure. So, believe it or not, I actually started in mobile home parks. So I went to the University of St. Thomas in Houston, and there was a very large mobile home park company that was there, and I was their first intern actually. So they grew that
Okay.
company. It got big. I mean, it was about 450 million, I think, is what they sold it for a couple of years ago. So very, very large company.
Hmm.
And I had a lot of experience with them, whether it's finding parks, developing things, managing. I kind of ran the gambit because I was the only intern and I got there. So really what pushed me into shipping containers was my experience with mobile homes. Mobile homes are kind of built like a shell box that you're ready to get destroyed. And you kind of know that you're going to have a lot of repairs and maintenance. And that's just the market that you're in. And so I set out and said, well, what if we build something more durable? What could we do here? And so naturally I said, well, gosh, a metal box is probably about as durable as it gets. So after graduating from college, I set out, I raised just a little bit of my own money because obviously it's a very cheap idea to build it. I designed it out. I built the first one. It went pretty well. I kept building them and kept building them. And the cash flow is phenomenal, which is kind of what I'm here for the show to talk about and how we get it done. But what I gotta warn anybody that's getting into it, it's all regulation that kills you. And so that
Hmm.
might be a focal point, even investing in anything that you're investing in, understanding how are you going to get financing? How are you going to get it appraised? What are the tax appraisals going to come back as? All those different things are really what killed me. So like, for example, on this house that I have, I can't really find insurance. I've tried like 17 companies so far. I have one maybe. So we're seeing if that's going to work. But insurance companies, they really, really don't like insuring container houses. And so you've got to be aware of what you're going to run into as you go in and start developing other projects. So it'll
Interesting.
be
Yeah, no, I definitely had kind of my list of what I thought might be the pros and cons, and the insurance
sure.
aspect I didn't really consider. So,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, again, you're talking about some of the fairly large hurdles. I mean, putting hundreds
Yep.
of thousands or millions of dollars into a project, but not being able to get an insurer on board, that's a big one. That's a
Yeah.
big challenge.
Kind of a big
You get
deal.
a. I know you're based in Oklahoma City. Obviously, you guys, you're kind of in the land of tornadoes.
Yep.
Knock on
Yep.
wood that it never ever hits you or anyone, any of your loved ones, or anyone in general,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
but yeah, while storage containers are very stout, given that their construction is 100% steel, they
Mhm.
probably still wouldn't withstand an F5. They might
Not
be in one piece,
always.
but they probably will be miles
Oh yeah.
away where they land.
Oh yeah. They
Um,
chuck them. The big tornadoes, man, this house would be gone. I mean, I would say that our strength and durability is much better than a standard house, but I mean, there's a limit to anything that you build. I mean, any kind of F5 tornado is going to destroy anything but a bunker, basically.
So do
So
you feel like that's why maybe the storage industry? I mean, obviously there's other folks that are utilizing these storage containers to build, different types of structures, residential structures. I mean, is that maybe why it hasn't truly taken off? Because ultimately, if you can't get insurance, then you sure as heck aren't going to be able to get traditional financing either.
sure.
Um,
That is
the
probably
bank.
the main problem is financing. Yeah, I mean, it's nearly impossible to get a loan. And I'll give you a little background on the FHA process. So when the '08 financial crisis happened, they passed Dodd-Frank, and one of the things they were trying to do was rein in appraisers who were just kind of willy-nilly throwing a number out there. But what they inevitably did with all of their restrictions, forcing banks to hire a third-party appraisal locator company or whatever they call it, you can't hire the appraiser directly anymore as a bank. And so when you get unique property types, it's not just shipping container homes, it's barn dominiums or log cabins or silo homes or anything that's weird. It becomes increasingly frustrating for banks to deal with it. So they're capped on the fees that they can, charge you as a person. So they know how much money they can make and they know how much time it's going to take. So most banks just say, not worth it. It's not worth it at all. But then you get to the appraisal process and the appraisers, they honestly have no idea what they're looking at. I've had 4 decline this personal house that I'm at, and these are, I would say, much better appraisers in Oklahoma. When I did it in Houston, I built low income. We had a property. We had an offer on it, $270,000. It was a duplex. So it was a 4-bed, 2-bath each unit, right? Cash flowing really, really well. We were making like 2,800 a month, somewhere in that range. We accepted Section 8, which was kind of our main cash flow marker. So everything looks good.
$2,700 per
No,
side?
each side was like $1,350.
Got it.
And there's a range in Section 8. I think it goes as
Sure.
low as 12 something all the way up. Now it's like way higher than where it was. But this was maybe 5 years ago. So everything looks great. We're like, perfect. Let's sell it. The buyer's excited. They're like, this is a great cash flow, great location. Price is at $194,000. Just inexplicable. Can't get financing. Okay. Deal's dead. So we had to hold that one a lot longer than I think my original investor wanted to. And it's frustrating because, we built it all in, I want to say around 180,000. So you build this thing in 6 months, you get renters in it, you're out of it within a year at 270. I mean, wow. I mean, that's an investment. I mean, you're making 30-40% on your money on something you can build as many times as you want. There's nothing holding you back except for the financing.
Yeah. What would it not be able to get to get to the, conform to the, whatever the designation that modular homes fall under? I mean,
Sure.
who governs modular? Is it HUD? Or
HUD would govern modular, but the difference is going to be, how it's built, the process of how it's built. We put ours on a foundation and built it on site. Okay. So it was, for all intents and purposes, a conventional home according to HUD. The problem comes in is it conventional enough to get an appraisal? Like, that is the bottom line. And I can tell you the answer is legally, yes, it is. Realistically, there's no chance. I mean, it's so difficult to do. It's just not worth it.
Interesting. How about, I mean, what are some of the other aspects that are maybe, that pose some additional challenges? I mean, obviously you've got limited ceiling heights. What's the standard, like 8 or 9 feet?
Yeah, they're 9.5 foot. So inside they're just shy of 9 feet. So it's really not that bad. And the way that I span them, I almost always do 2 of them, side by side, so to speak. And then I just put a span in the middle. So in this house, it's a 35-foot span. I've got metal K joists. It's like a nice big open area. In the duplexes, I was down to 16 feet, which is the max span for a 2x12 at the time. So we were just doing very, very conventional spans. In the middle there, I'd have like your kitchen and living room. I put the master bedroom kind of towards the back in there. And then I just did a top bottom layout. So it was identical on first floor and second. In the containers themselves, we got bathrooms, pantries, all the little rooms that eat up a house, shove them all into the container, make the kitchen and living room nice and big. And it was very popular floor plan, I think.
Yeah. So how does one, again, given all these, it sounds like there might be more challenges than there are,
more challenges.
Yeah. I'm wondering how can someone make, while they might cash flow, but just what does that business model look like in the long run, right? Is there a real opportunity to build something at scale here? And do you foresee a future where, these become, storage, shipping containers become a part of the construction industry, and it become a method that builders start using, or just, is it never going to get its time and day?
It's never going to happen. And the reality is going to also be, you're going to have to get through permitting. And so they have made revisions to the code to allow for shipping containers, but every jurisdiction, I mean, it's a coin flip. Does the guy like you? Do they want it? If you could get, if all you would need to do to make this happen get a city council member that wants your product. They want you to come in and build a shipping container house. All of a sudden, you don't have to worry about permitting. All of a sudden, you've got a bank that wants to be a little bit friendlier because they want to get on the good side of the city council member or mayor or something like that. All of a sudden, you could really make something happen. But then on the back end of it, you have to be realistic with what shipping containers are. There's a lot of people, they put them side by side and they cut out the walls in the middle and they do things like that. Doesn't make any sense. Structurally, containers can hold about 900,000 pounds on a stack. So they're super, super strong if you use them exactly how they're stacked. And so a lot of people come in and build one like this, they'll cantilever it, they'll try cantilever another. All of a sudden, you've got this mystical metal building that's now $400 a square foot that comes in. So it takes a lot of willpower and a lot of understanding of what containers are and what they aren't to make them work. But the bottom line for me is, golly, if I could have gotten through the regulation, they worked. Boy, they worked. I mean, I would have made 40%. I mean, I could do it today. If the city of Houston said, okay, we're going to make it easy. If I got a bank behind me, if we could get investors together and go build them, which is the last part. How do you get investors? We're having this conversation. Yeah, permitting is going to be a problem, and financing and insurance. And it's like nobody wants to get involved in that, which is, maybe that's even the greatest hurdle. Now you get it all together and go build it. It could definitely work. If somebody came to me and said, let's build 100 houses, I could figure out a way to make it work, but you're never going to find somebody with money that says, oh yeah, let's go containers. I believe in it, So
yeah, no, very interesting. So how about some alternative uses for shipping containers? I mean, I'm just thinking like you're in the land of tornadoes. You guys have in-ground bunkers, right? Or
sometimes tornado shelters. Yeah.
Yeah. Tornado shelters. How about a shipping container, a 20 by whatever, the 20 footers, the shorter ones, using those as bunkers in the ground.
Oh, for sure.
or shelters.
For sure.
Right.
I mean,
Or
I've seen it up north
also where they'll, on the long side of it, on a 40 footer, they'll put, 3 roll up storage doors, right? And then, make it divisible into three or 4 sections on the inside, which is obviously a very effective and an affordable way to create a storage unit.
Oh yeah. Let me tell you something about containers and storage units, because it's something that no one talks about when it comes to containers. So China creates a lot of steel products and they try to ship it to the United States. And the government of China subsidizes steel, something like 30% of the cost of steel, right? So they ship it to the United States and they sell it here and they undercut US Steel, our big steel manufacturer in the United States. So what do? We put a whole bunch of tariffs on their steel. We're in this war that Donald Trump is like, China. That's why he's so upset about them, right? But here's a trick. Containers aren't considered a steel product. They're a cargo container. So they build them in China where they bought the steel at cheaper than you could even make the steel. I mean, it's like bonkers cheap. They utilize them as a cargo container to bring stuff over to the United States, and then they sell them here, especially at their end of life. They're selling them cheaper than you can buy the steel to build them. And that's how cheap they are. So when you can figure out a way to reutilize and repurpose them, you can't lose. You're already getting a shell box where the materials you're buying are cheaper than you could just buy them off the shelf, and it's put together already. So
what's an average cost of like a 40-foot storage container? I know that it's going to vary based on how far you are from a port, but just
sure.
Give me an example of being within, call it, a few hundred miles of a port.
Okay. So there's a couple different classifications. There's what's considered a one tripper or a brand new container. They built it in China. They put it on a boat, probably put stuff in it on that trip, brought it to you, brand new. It's about $6,000 right now. It goes up and down. Sometimes it's $5,800, sometimes $6,500, but it's in that range. Then you have what's known as cargo worthy, which is a container that can go on a ship. So it's structurally sound, doesn't have a lot of dings or what have you. Those probably 3,500, give or take, somewhere in that range. And then if you go down, I mean, you can go all the way to the bottom. They have what I would consider a wind and watertight is probably 2,500 right now. Usually they have like a minor structural damage, or like you can't have a bend in the wall. The most common one is they put a forklift in, try to pick something up, and they bring it out too early and they ding the wall. And then now you can't put them on a ship. So they got to sell them or do something with them. So I use the wind and watertight ones, which is how, you're able to get a great deal. I mean, $2,500 for 320 square feet of subfloor. Your wall's already built out, the ceiling already built. I mean, you can't beat it. And I didn't even paint this one. So this is unpainted. You don't even have to paint it. You don't have to paint the ceiling. You don't have to drywall the ceiling. You start adding up the things like, wow, there's a lot of stuff here. You know?
So we're looking at an inside wall in your background. We're looking at the inside interior wall. And so
Yeah.
how about the insulation?
So this is an interior wall. On the exterior one, on the other side of the camera, I just drywalled it. I put a 2x4 frame.
I got you.
I insulate it. I drywall it. So you have a drywall shell all the way around.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, that's right. You meant there's a span. So you got two, a couple that are connected together there.
Yep.
How many storage containers in that home, that 5,000 square foot home?
It's 6 of them. 6 of them. So
Six
I have
of them.
space 35 feet apart. I put 2 stories on this one. So I have a very nice high slanted roof. And then I made it 2 deep. So it's 80 feet long.
Got it.
My living room is nice. It's 60 by 35.
Wow. Pretty good. But no insurance.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Fly by a seat in your pants. I like it.
That's me, man. That's me.
So what else? What else, Sean? I mean, anything else that we're missing on related to the business? I mean, I love the idea of finding alternative uses for these things and making money out of them. It just sounds like residential might be a little tough, and
sure,
might be an easier way, or maybe not an easier way, but a safer way to to create cash flow. But ultimately, you could turn these into many other uses as well. Against storage and other uses. But outside of this, I know that you've been building up Bold Estimation, your construction estimation company over the years. Maybe talk about future plans there. It sounds like you guys are making some big things happen. So maybe some specifics on the company. What different industries you guys focus in, and what you're up to today.
Yeah. So basically, Bold Estimation is an outsourcing company first and foremost. So all of my staff are in the Philippines, and we do basically anything you can think of in the construction space. Predominantly, that means we're doing takeoffs, proposals, things like that. So let's say that you wanted to build a house ground up. We could help you tremendously to the point where we're giving you your lumber package, your drywall package, your siding package. We're actually going out, counting all the things. If you have vendors in mind and you're actually sophisticated and savvy enough to get to that point, we'll interact with the vendors. So we'll go out and quote basically everything that you need. We'll work with the subs to quote everything that you need. And we do it all for a ridiculously good price because my guys are overseas. So, I mean, we're charging anywhere from 12 to 18 an hour in volume. Small jobs, we go, much higher than that. But that's, that's kind of part of where I traveled into, because I've always been a niche kind of guy. Like, I don't like the standard. You're not going to find me going out and, just building a general commercial restaurant or something. I'm like, let's do something weird, let's do something crazy together. So that's kind of what that business turned into. And, we'll do admin work. We do basic bookkeeping. I mean, just general stuff within the real estate world is really somewhere that we're finding a solid niche for.
I love mobile home parks. I think you had mentioned that you've got a mobile home park project that's going on right now. So,
we're doing
is that ground up development or?
Right now, it's for a bank loan. So my customer bought a piece of land. I think it's 25 acres or 30 acres, something like that. And we've done a basic sketch of the site development. Where's the road going to be? What are the lots? Things like that. And then my company comes in and we can help with more of the actual drafting, which we'll probably do in a couple months. But we get a general layout and a cost for what it would be to develop the land. And then they take that to the bank, go to the initial stage. So we kind of help them through the staging process as they get the financing together.
Got it. That makes sense. Well, that's exciting, man. You got a lot going on. For those that want to learn more about, Bold Estimation or any other endeavors, is there the best place to track you down? A website, social links, what have you?
Yeah. I mean, it's boldestimation.com is my website. Okay. You can check me out on LinkedIn. I've got about 15,000 people I'm connected to. So I've got a pretty large following. We do manage social media as part of our admin work as well. So that's how I got that. And that's how we connected. Yeah. I mean, I
love it. A one-stop shop.
That's what we're trying to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, Sean, I appreciate you coming to the show. Again, for those that want to learn more about it, we'll put all those links in the show notes. And my friend, wishing you all the best. Appreciate you coming on and talking about container homes and what you have going on. So much appreciated, and wishing you all the best success.
Appreciate it as well. Thanks, Kevin.
All right, guys, that's all we have for this week's show. So until we meet again next week, this is your host, Kevin Bupp, wishing you huge success. Take care.